Hello, hello, hello. This is Danny Suarez with Always Consulting and your Best Boss Bootcamp Minute. Today's letter comes from Scared in Seattle. Scared in Seattle says, like Culture Club asks, do you really want to hurt me? How can I determine what's genuinely meant to be hurtful to me when my colleagues and direct reports give me hard feedback? So, have to say, Scared in Seattle, you are in good company. It is, no matter where you go, there you are. So we bring our egos, our sense of worth, our sense of validation, external validation. We bring that to work, much the way we bring it to the rest of our lives. And of course, it's a lifelong journey. It's a good process around internal leadership to really separate ourselves or not depend on external feedback. But the truth is, we count on that feedback loop to know how we are doing in our work. And so there's a few things that I want you to keep in mind. There are three things. So the first thing is, when you are getting that kind of hard feedback, see if you can kind of reframe that from hard feedback to, isn't that fascinating? Isn't that interesting? And what can I learn from that? What can I learn from that? I'm sure you've heard the old trope that says feedback is a gift. Well, in a lot of ways, it really is, even those critical, hard pieces of feedback. So there's much more to this, but the very first thing is, what can I learn from this? What is the nugget of truth? Maybe it's something about yourself, maybe it's something about your environment, maybe to be and to be careful with that, right? So this isn't about, well, I learned that my boss is a jerk. That's not what I mean. What can you learn from the feedback that you're receiving? Because there's probably something in there that is useful. And in that way, you stay on top of the feedback. It's something that's positive for you. The second thing is, evaluate the tone. So when you're receiving that feedback, ask yourself, there really are two channels of communication. There's the what I call the positive intelligence channel, or the PQ channel, which is and then the second channel is the data channel. And the data channel tends to be how we receive information. It's the words that come out of somebody's mouth, and it's the content of those words. Below that, or running alongside of that, is another channel of communication, and that's the nonverbal communication. It's the tone of the voice. It's all those things that your gut, when your gut is really aligned with, not with your ego, but with really being open and receptive to hearing what's being said on that other channel, can be really useful. So don't just take the data channel. The data channel is where we learn something, right? To point one. But there's the other channel, and that's the emotional channel. It's the PQ channel, the positive intelligence channel. And I want you to make sure you're evaluating that as well. So if it's coming across as confrontational or aggressive, take that into account. That's part of what, it's sometimes that's difficult to convey to others, because you're saying, well, what did your boss say? Well, this is what my boss said. Well, why aren't you paying attention to that? Because there's another channel of communication. So pay attention to that. Be careful about putting too much of your own ego around it, but pay attention. What is that other channel? And see if that's if that can help either substantiate the data that you're receiving, or negate the data that you're receiving, right? So oftentimes, well, suffice to say, if you're receiving hard feedback, but the underlying channel is one of caring and wanting you to succeed and love, then that's really good information to receive, really good feedback. And the third piece is consider the source, right? So the best feedback, hard or otherwise, comes from folks that we respect, right? So, and in fact, that's the best kind of feedback, getting hard feedback from people that we respect. But quite frankly, if it's folks that you don't have a lot of respect for, don't feel like that there's, based on their past behaviors, their past input to you, that it doesn't feel like it's a worthwhile source to pay attention to, then by all means disregard it. Or again, ask yourself what you can learn from it, but see if you can remove your ego from that, given the source. So it's those three things that I want you to think about when you're receiving hard feedback. What can you learn? Evaluate the tone and consider the source. All right, I hope that's helpful, Scared in Seattle. And thanks, everybody. and take care, and be sure to keep a lookout for our next Best Boss Bootcamp Minute. This is Danny Ceballos with Unleash Consulting, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.